So I think that's just kind of been the time for me to like really find some patience, and I've never been a patient person my entire life, so this is definitely testing.
Every game is said to tell its own story, and the matchup against the Los Angeles Sparks delivered one that neither the Indiana Fever nor their fans expected. Entering the game with plenty of momentum, Indiana looked ready to add another victory to its growing record. But by the final buzzer, the entire conversation surrounding the Fever had changed. The Sparks stunned the league with a commanding 106-92 win, producing one of their strongest performances of the season and reminding everyone that no result is guaranteed in the Wnba. This loss was about more than a single mark in the standings, as it exposed weaknesses Indiana had managed to hide during its recent winning stretch. Los Angeles matched the Fever's intensity, played with confidence from the opening tip to the final moments, and seized control whenever the game reached a critical stage. Looking at the bigger picture, what many expected to be a comfortable Indiana victory quickly became one of the week's biggest surprises. It was not just an upset. It was a statement that the Sparks could compete with one of the league's most popular teams while forcing the Fever to face difficult questions moving forward. Through explosive scoring runs and timely defensive stops, Los Angeles controlled the tempo and never allowed Indiana to settle into its preferred style of play. With the Fever trying to maintain their momentum, the Sparks determined to make a statement, and both teams battling for every possession. The stage was set for a memorable night. Let's take a closer look at how Los Angeles shocked Indiana, the key moments that changed the game, and what this result could mean for both teams going forward. By the end of the night, the entire WNBA was talking about the outcome, and the reactions were only beginning. If you enjoy this content, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. More than 83% of viewers still haven't subscribed, and while it only takes a second, it makes a huge difference for the channel. Have you subscribed yet? Great! Thank you for the support. Now let's get back to the video.
This game is peaking at 3.2 million viewers is crazy for the WNBA, even for the Fever. So this year's peaks are already freaking higher than last year's peaks when this team was starting to do a bit well.
Caitlin was doing what she does best, setting records and delivering highlight reel moments before her night was cut short by a strained quad injury.
Again, much better start from a number of Sparks tonight than we saw on Monday. It had been a long layoff. They hadn't played in 9 days.
The Indiana Fever entered their matchup against the Los Angeles Sparks carrying plenty of momentum and growing expectations. With Caitlin Clark leading the way, many fans believed Indiana was ready to continue its impressive run. But basketball has a way of changing the story in an instant. Instead of delivering another dominant performance, the Fever found themselves battling a Sparks team that refused to back down. The most surprising part was that after halftime, Los Angeles looked like the hungrier team, taking control of the game and powering its way to a convincing 106-92 victory. The excitement surrounding Indiana quickly turned into questions about what went wrong and how the Sparks managed to seize control so decisively.
Mitchell, the crossover, the spin, the step through, and a tough two.
The Fever entered this game believing they had finally found their rhythm. After a string of impressive victories, many expected Indiana to handle the Los Angeles Sparks without much trouble. But from the opening minutes, it became clear this would not be another comfortable night. The Sparks capitalized on every opportunity. Indiana's offense never looked as smooth as fans had hoped, and defensive breakdowns slowly began to pile up. Although the Fever showed flashes of the team that has excited supporters all season and managed to put together several strong stretches, they were unable to maintain that momentum for long. Los Angeles refused to let Indiana get comfortable, and despite Caitlin Clark creating big plays, finding open teammates, and knocking down difficult shots, the Sparks always seemed to have an answer. Every time the Fever appeared ready to make a serious push, Los Angeles responded with a timely basket or a crucial defensive stop. Those momentum-changing sequences ultimately played a major role in deciding the outcome, and we will revisit them shortly. As the second half unfolded, the pressure continued to build. Fever fans kept waiting for the run that would turn the game around, but instead the Sparks grew stronger with each passing minute. By the end of the night, Indiana was left searching for answers after a surprising 106-92 defeat, while Los Angeles stayed composed, executed in key moments, and turned that confidence into one of its most impressive victories of the season.
I think this was a kind of gut punch for us. We're going to come back tomorrow, practice, more focused, more energy. We know we want to be at the end of the season, but we're not just going to get there. You know, sometimes it sucks and it's a grind, and that's where we're at right now. But I do think short term and long term, it's going to make us better.
This was Sophie Cunningham's reaction following the team's first game without Caitlin Clark, a loss to the Mystics. Looking back, her comments proved to be accurate, which makes what she said even more important to remember. However, any fans hoping for a quick turnaround were left disappointed. Instead of improving after the defeat to Washington, the situation only continued to get worse.
Provide. Grace Van Slooten has checked in for the Fever. Cunningham read that all the way. Good play there.
After their disappointing loss to the Sun, a team that had opened the season 0-5, fans and commentators began questioning everything. Just when it seemed the situation could not get any worse, it did. During the same game, the Fever lost both Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham to injuries, creating an even bigger challenge for the team. In an instant, Caitlin Clark was without both of her key backups, and what had already been a thin rotation suddenly looked severely depleted. But this is where the story takes an unexpected turn, because sometimes when two doors close, another opens wider than anyone anticipated. And the opportunity that emerged brought a fresh wave of energy and possibility for the Fever moving forward.
Oh, Renee Teaspoon, hold it
that
down.
Shot, yeah, all of it. Ton of love.
We were proud.
McDonald. Instantly, she brought a fresh presence that few people expected. The hardship signing stepped in and immediately changed the atmosphere around the team. She provided energy, set the tempo, and most importantly helped get the offense moving. Before long, she had become both a spark plug on the court and a fan favorite. Now, many are arguing that she should be viewed as more than just a temporary solution. Instead, they believe she deserves to be part of this team's future plans.
If there's one thing that is a certainty for the Indiana Fever, it's that hold on to Aerie McDonald at all costs.
The Fever started to find their footing once again. First, they bounced back from their earlier setback by getting revenge against the Mystics. Then came the big test everyone had been waiting for, the highly anticipated rematch with the Los Angeles Sparks in front of nearly 20,000 fans. Indiana didn't just earn a victory, they made a statement. The Fever dominated from start to finish and left no doubt, turning the matchup into a convincing and emphatic win.
And the Indiana Fever has beaten the Chicago Sky by a combined 62 points in two.
Beating the Sky may feel routine at this point, but this particular victory carried far more significance because the Fever accomplished it without Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and even head coach Stephanie White. It was not their most polished performance, yet it was still an impressive achievement. More importantly, Indiana showed something that should concern the rest of the WNBA. They proved they can be dangerous even when key pieces are missing. The Fever found a way to win without Caitlin on the floor, demonstrating resilience, depth, and the ability to adapt under difficult circumstances. That development could be just as important as any single victory, because it suggests this team is no longer dependent on one player to compete and succeed.
Happy learned how to putt.
Kelsey Mitchell is starting to look like the player fans know she can be after working her way out of an early season slump. Aaliyah Boston continues to be a dominant presence, while Lexi Hull has made a compelling case as one of the league's most improved players, with her three-point shooting becoming a major weapon and even putting her in the all-star conversation. There is plenty for Fever fans to be excited about. For that reason alone, Indiana could be even stronger when Caitlin Clark returns than it was before her absence. The team has gained valuable experience, confidence, and growth during this stretch. Fever supporters have every reason to feel optimistic. But for fans of Caitlin Clark, there is another important takeaway. Her injury did more than give the team an opportunity to develop. It highlighted just how valuable she truly is. In many ways, her absence made her impact impossible to ignore, providing perhaps the clearest reminder yet of her importance to both the Fever and the league as a whole. And that is where this story really begins.
Cheapest ticket for the June 7th showdown is $14, according to Vivid Seats. Oh, there's some even less expensive than that.
First, the game against the Los Angeles Sparks brought an end to the narrative that fans were showing up for reasons unrelated to Caitlin Clark. Before tip-off, tickets were reportedly available for as little as $3, making entry to the arena cheaper than some of the concessions being sold inside. It became a striking example of how dramatically interest can shift when star power is missing. Then, only a few weeks later, the two teams met again. This time, ticket demand began climbing once more, drawing renewed attention to the matchup and sparking further discussion about what drives fan interest. The contrast between the two games highlighted just how much excitement and attention can change from one meeting to the next.
Cheapest ticket for that game next month is currently at $82, according to Vivid Seats. It gets much worse. Therefore, there's currently an 83% drop between the two games.
I will not spend too much time discussing the fact that Alyssa Thomas finished with only a handful of points, but the bigger story is impossible to ignore. On one of the league's biggest stages and in front of one of its largest audiences, the performance spoke for itself. The spotlight was brighter than ever, and the result left a lasting impression. For many fans, it became harder to accept the narratives being pushed after witnessing one of the league's most heavily promoted young stars struggle through what many viewed as one of the most disappointing performances of the season. The game quickly became a major talking point, fueling debates across the basketball world and raising new questions about the gap between expectations and what unfolded on the court.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, the most coddled basketball player in history. She is the 43rd best player in the WNBA. She is, and that is being the most generous I can be coming into this season.
But fam, don't you dare exclude Angel Reese out of that. That is favoritism. Don't show that, man. You need to call Angel Reese out the same way you are willing to call everybody else.
One thing has become crystal clear through all of this. The driving force behind the attention and excitement is not Alyssa Thomas. Caitlin Clark remains at the center of the conversation. Time and again, when Clark is on the court, interest rises, discussions intensify, and viewership surges. At a certain point, the debate begins to settle itself. Her impact becomes difficult to ignore. And perhaps, just perhaps, the WNBA will recognize that its brightest stars deserve both protection and promotion as the league continues to grow. As for Clark's return and the unprecedented attention surrounding it, that is where the next chapter of this story begins.
This is what she said.
Is this an injury that happened during a game or anything, or is it just something that was lingering that popped up? Or?
It happened in the Liberty game, yeah.
Were you able to pinpoint the time in the Liberty game that happened, or you just?
No, definitely early in the game, but I couldn't tell you the exact play something occurred on.
Caitlin said she does not remember the exact moment the injury occurred. However, not everyone is convinced that it was a sudden incident. There has been growing speculation that the issue may have been bothering her for weeks before it officially sidelined her. Rather than being the result of one isolated play, some believe it could have been a problem that gradually developed over time. Whatever the case, the perception is that she tried to push through the discomfort and continue competing for as long as possible before reaching the point where she simply could not keep going. That possibility has only added to the discussion surrounding her absence and the impact it has had on the team.
In the Liberty game, yeah, I don't believe that. She looked 60% in the Liberty game. She looked no better against the Atlanta Dream. And there's no way it happened in the Liberty game. Unless, like, she looked so much better in the second half of the Liberty game as well. And I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
First, there is a positive way to look at that theory regarding Caitlin, and I will get to that in a moment. But to be completely honest, it would not be surprising if some degree of damage control or liability management was taking place behind the scenes. The reason is simple. If the team knew about the issue beforehand and she continued playing through it, that would create a very different conversation than if the injury occurred unexpectedly during a game. The focus would shift from a routine injury setback to questions about how long the problem had existed, what the organization knew, and how the situation was managed before she was ultimately forced to step away from the court.
Things just go as they were, and we have expanded season of 22 home games with modest inflation. I'm looking at $875 million.
This season, Caitlin Clark's value to the league has often been described as enormous because of the attention, interest, and visibility she brings to the game. If a team were knowingly allowing a star player to continue competing while dealing with a significant injury, it could create more than just negative headlines. It could quickly become a major public relations issue and spark widespread scrutiny. While there is no way to know the full situation from the outside, it is easy to understand why such questions arise when considering Clark's highly competitive nature, the fact that she has not always appeared to be at full strength during portions of the season, and the tremendous spotlight that follows her every move. All of those factors have fueled ongoing discussion about how her injury developed and how it was handled behind the scenes.
It hasn't looked really right all year. Like, the Sky game was the Sky game. They destroyed the Sky. The Sky were terrible. But outside the Sky game, she hasn't looked right at all. She didn't look right in preseason. She hasn't looked right at all.
It is not necessarily some wild conspiracy theory. From one perspective, it could simply be a matter of managing a difficult situation and controlling the narrative surrounding a high-profile injury. If that were the case, it would be easy to understand why details might remain somewhat unclear. The encouraging side of this discussion is that, if the theory has any truth to it, Caitlin Clark's best basketball could still be ahead of her. If she spent part of the season competing while less than fully healthy and is now finally getting the opportunity to rest and recover, the long-term outlook could be very positive. Think about it. Despite not always appearing to be at her absolute best physically, she continued to produce impressive numbers and impact games at a high level. That naturally leads people to wonder what she might look like once she is fully healthy again. Supporters of the theory also point to what they believe are additional signs that she may have been dealing with discomfort for some time, further fueling speculation that the injury may have been affecting her long before it became a major storyline.
At times, the hardest part is just not being able to be involved in practice. I love practice. Not a ton of people always enjoy coming to practice every single day, but that's something I really enjoy. I really enjoy coming out here and competing every single day with my teammates. That's probably honestly what I miss most. Obviously, I miss the games. That goes for anybody that's ever hurt, but I love practice. I love getting.
That is something you simply cannot teach. That drive, determination, and competitive spirit are a big part of what defines Caitlin Clark. She embraces the hard work, the endless repetitions, film study, extra practice, constant improvement, learning opportunities, and the chance to help elevate those around her. There is little doubt that being sidelined has been frustrating for her. Yet even while unable to play, she continues to find ways to lead, contribute, grow, and help move the team forward. Her impact has not disappeared simply because she is off the court. In fact, during her press conference, she demonstrated how she can still influence the game, support her teammates, and provide valuable leadership from the sidelines while continuing to be an important part of the Fever's progress.
I think it's a unique perspective, when you're out there playing and actually in the heat of the moment, you don't always realize everything, you don't always see everything, you see things from a different perspective that maybe the coaching staff didn't see. So it's certainly different. So I'm trying to, kind of be that connector between the coaches and then my teammates at the same time, whether, that's in the locker room at halftime, whether that's during timeouts, so, things I see from the bench that maybe might be a little bit different of a perspective than maybe our point guard is seeing or, anybody on the floor.
Caitlin Clark has always been a student of the game, so that part is nothing new. However, this period on the sidelines may be giving her a perspective she has rarely experienced before, the chance to view the game through a coach's lens. And that growth is becoming increasingly noticeable. Rather than simply waiting for her return, she appears to be developing into an even stronger leader. Sitting back and doing nothing has never been part of her personality. Instead, she remains fully engaged, studying the action, breaking down plays, communicating with teammates, offering encouragement, and continuing to learn in real time. Even while unable to play, she is finding ways to contribute and expand her understanding of the game. And now we arrive at the question everyone has been waiting to hear answered, the one hanging over every broadcast, every headline, and every Fever fan discussion. When will Caitlin Clark return? The good news is that there is finally reason for optimism.
It's, day by day and see how I feel and just kind of turn to the medical staff and what they think. But I feel like I've made a lot of progress and I feel good and Not going to rush coming back. It's just not.
This is exactly the kind of update Caitlin Clark and Fever fans want to hear. She appears to be in good spirits and, more importantly, is not rushing the recovery process because this is about much more than a single game. It is about the entire season and potentially even bigger goals beyond that. If anything, some believe her competitive nature may have contributed to the situation, as she likely tried to push through discomfort for as long as possible. That is simply who she is, a fierce competitor. By the time this video is published, there is always a chance she could already be back on the court, although that seems unlikely in my opinion. The Fever have continued to win games without her, and with the season still relatively young, giving her another week of rest could be the smartest decision. Of course, I am not her doctor, so feel free to share your thoughts in the comments if you see it differently. One thing remains certain regardless of when you are watching this. Caitlin Clark's return will be one of the biggest moments of the season. Even before her absence, she was helping generate record-breaking levels of attention and viewership. And honestly, this brief break may have only increased the anticipation. It has become clear just how different the league feels with and without her. During her absence, the Fever have been forced to discover their identity, develop greater resilience, and learn how to win under challenging circumstances. That type of adversity can be valuable, especially early in a season. Now imagine Clark returning to a more confident, connected, and battle-tested team, fully healthy and ready to do what many expected from the start. Help turn Indiana into a legitimate championship contender. Sometimes a little patience and time away can make all the difference. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.